Anyone who follows me knows that I am anti-marriage as it's constructed here in 2022. I'm obviously not anti-relationship, but I am 671% against legal marriage in the West, which is quite literally a contract between two people and the state. Now, there are many, many reasons men these days are walking away from marriage, but the most obvious reasons are the biased family court system and the broken child support system. Look, guys, we're all well aware of the fact that women file for divorce better than 80% of the time. We are also well aware of the fact that women are awarded custody of the children better than 90% of the time. Along with those two factors, combined with unfair child support and custody arrangements, and women being able to lie to the courts as a means to a financial end, men are foregoing marriage at an extremely alarming rate. As of right now, only 6 out of every 1,000 people in the U.S. are married. That is the lowest rate in the history of the United States of America. Incentivized divorce, EPAR, spelled backwards, has completely destroyed men and their families for far too long, and men have responded by not walking down the aisle. But what if there was a way to get married without the risk of getting taken to the cleaners in divorce court? What if there was a way to ensure that should you have a child with a woman, that you would be guaranteed 50% custody in the event of a divorce? Now, I know what you guys are all thinking. Donovan, there's no way this will ever happen. Divorce is now in industry, and there's no reason for things to change. And you would be right. While there are some courts that are a little more fair-minded these days, by and large, being a man in divorce and or family court is almost always a bad deal. But today I'd like to engage you guys in a thought experiment. And I want you guys to keep an open mind here, because if things keep going the way they are, this might actually be a real possibility, I would say, within the next 30 to 40 years or so. Now, keep in mind that we're going to be talking about something futuristic here, meaning that technology and medicine will be far more advanced when and if this actually comes to pass. So when you hear things like male birth control, don't dismiss it, because we all know that we are right around the corner from that, and it's 2022. I also want you to keep in mind that this is a thought experiment. Because of this, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be airtight. We have a lot of people watching, so I'm sure that people will point out loopholes, which is perfectly fine. Nothing will ever be bulletproof. However, the purpose of the ECC, as you can see on your screen, or the expiring coupling contract, is to drastically eliminate men getting screwed by the court system or women getting abandoned by the fathers of their children, among other things. So without further ado, let's discuss the expiring coupling contract. Now, there are 5 main purposes for the expiring coupling contract. The first and most important purpose is that it all but eliminates divorce EPAR, spelled backwards. Everyone knows that when it comes to modern marriage, men risk just about everything because of the aforementioned biased court system. This was the main reason men are walking away from marriages, and some men are even walking away from relationships. Well, the ECC protects both parties, the man and the woman, but mostly the men, as men these days stand to lose a lot more in the event of a divorce. His present and future earnings, his savings, his 401k, pension, and so forth. Men also risk losing their driver's license and eventually their freedom as a result of unjust child support payments. Now, I want you to keep in mind that child support payments were necessary back in the day. Why? Because most women who had children didn't work outside the home. So in order to protect women and children from becoming destitute as a result of the father leaving the home for one reason or the other, the United States decided to implement child support payments to make sure that a man's ex-wife and children were taken care of financially. But these days, women also work. In fact, many women out-earn men, including the men they choose to procreate with. Modern women essentially use their children as an additional income stream to add to their own salaries and wages. The ECC eliminates fraudulent desperation declared by single mothers. Now, the second purpose of the ECC is that it eliminates messy or costly divorce proceedings. It eliminates all this stuff, and as you guys will see when I outline this, men will no longer be forced with the, quote, "it's cheaper to keep her" decision. There are many, many stories nationwide about women who marry men of means who have already retained a divorce lawyer. Divorce is an industry, and it is incentivized by our current no-fault divorce system and exorbitant attorney's fees. The expiring coupling contract eliminates the need for courts to intervene. The third purpose The third purpose of the expiring coupling contract is that it encourages good behavior while it simultaneously discourages bad behavior. For example, if either spouse withholds sexual affection from the other for an extended period of time, assuming it is a non-medical reason, the party who is alienated from affection has the right to dissolve the contract. The fourth purpose of the ECC is to incentivize the maintenance of attraction. As I stated before in a previous podcast, the average American wife is much heavier than the average American girlfriend. And the reason for this is that wives have the leverage to let themselves go. The expiring coupling contract incentivizes both parties to remain sexually active and attractive to one another. In other words, women can no longer pull the fat grenade and continue to receive the benefits of being in the contract. The fifth and final purpose is to keep both parties accountable. This is more or less a combination of all four. If both parties know that the other can dissolve the contract or simply not renew it at the end of their year, they are far more likely to do what is necessary to incentivize the other party to want to sign another one-year contract with them. So let's go ahead and get to the nuts and bolts here. When a man and a woman decide they want to couple, they have three options from this point, according to the ECC. If they don't want to have children together, they sign a one-year contract. If they want to start a family, they sign a three-year contract. If they want a traditional coupling, meaning the man is the breadwinner and the woman is a stay-at-home wife, they sign the traditional 2-year coupling contract. So let's start with the 1-year coupling contract. Let's say John and Jane want to make their arrangement official. They want to take things to the next level. They're ready to tell and show the world that they are more serious than just boyfriend and girlfriend status. They've discussed having a family, but they both agree that now is not the time and they want to wait. So they would sign a 1-year contract. The first stipulation of the 1-year coupling contract is that both parties must be on birth control. Remember what I said earlier about this being a little bit futuristic? It's common knowledge that effective male birth control other than condoms are right around the corner. The reason why birth control is required for both parties in a 1-year couple in a contract is because it prevents unwanted pregnancies. Remember, John and Jane both declared that they didn't want to start a family just yet. But as we all know, most pregnancies are, quote, accidental. In other words, when people have sex most of the time, it's really because they're horny, not because they're actually trying to make a baby. Requiring both parties to be on birth control drastically reduces the odds of an accidental pregnancy. It also eliminates the possibility of a woman attempting to baby trap a man or vice versa. This ensures that both people are on the same page and that contract they sign proves as much. The second stipulation of the 1-year coupling contract is that each party leaves the relationship with what they came with should one or both parties decide to dissolve or allow the coupling contract to expire. This eliminates quote-unquote gold-digging behavior. So if both parties know that they will not benefit financially by deciding to end the coupling, they will choose who they couple with based on whether or not they actually have romantic feelings for them rather than just based on financial status. The third stipulation gives the couple tax breaks and tax benefits for being coupled. In other words, they get all of the legal and tax advantages that married couples get. Pardon me. One can claim the other as a dependent, add them to their health insurance, car insurance, homeowners insurance, renter's insurance, etc. The fourth stipulation of the 1-year coupling contract is that in order to renew the contract for another year, both parties must want to renew. If one or both parties does not want to renew, the contract expires and they go their separate ways with what they came with. The fifth and final stipulation is that if they want to start a family, they have the ability to terminate the 1-year contract and its stipulations and sign a 3-year contract. So let's take a look at those. So let's talk about the 3-year contract. The first stipulation of the 3-year contract is that both parties must declare that they want to have children. If one or both parties changes their mind, they can either dissolve the coupling or go back to the 1-year contract. The second and most important stipulation is that a paternity test is required at birth before the father signs the birth certificate. We are all well aware of the scourge that is paternity fraud. There are so many stories about men finding out that one or more of their children they believe to be biologically theirs was fathered by another man or men. We have seen the heartbreak and devastation men go through when they realize that one or more of their kids does not share their DNA. Paternity testing being required at birth completely eliminates paternity fraud, fraudulent child support payments, and so forth. The third stipulation, again, are the tax benefits. The couple can claim their children on their taxes as dependents and receive tax breaks, advantages, and the benefits that come with having children. Stipulation number 4 states that at the end of the 3-year coupling contract, both parties must want to renew. If one or both parties wishes to renew or no longer wishes to renew the 3-year coupling contract, this leads to stipulation number 5, which is that 50-50 custody is guaranteed no matter what. The offspring produced during the coupling will be in the custody of both parents for an equal amount of time agreed upon by the parents. The tax benefit will be divided right down the middle, and neither parent will be required to pay child support because they will have the child or children an equal amount of time. Let's take a look at the 2-year traditional contract. Now, the traditional coupling contract, which will last for 2 years before it expires, is almost identical to the 1-year contract. The only difference here, other than the length of the contract, is that the higher earner must put 3 months of expenses adjusted for inflation and economic ups and downs in a trust to be awarded to the lower earner in the event of an uncoupling or one or both parties not wanting to renew the contract. The amount will be determined by a computer which will calculate all applicable factors, such as the state they live, cost of living, inflation like I said before, and so forth. The human element will not be involved with this process to eliminate bias or vindictiveness from either gender. The amount will not be exorbitant, but it won't be minuscule either. It will be calculated by an impartial algorithm designed specifically to make sure the lower earner does not become destitute in the event of an uncoupling or non-renewal of the contract. If a couple should decide they want to engage in a coupling consistent with past tradition, again, meaning the man is the breadwinner and the woman is the homemaker, that's perfectly fine too. If a woman wants to be with a man badly enough and is willing to risk poverty in the event that either party decides to move on, she'll do what's necessary to incentivize him to renew their contract at the end of the year. So, this is a very interesting, very interesting concept, Dev. So, what are your initial thoughts on the marriage contract that we just talked about?
We've actually discussed this concept quite a few times, many years ago.
Yeah.
And it started from a conversation that we had from, I read a lot of Robert Highland books. So in his books, he talks about contract marriage, line marriage, plural marriage, different types of family units that are possible. Of course, it's completely fiction, but the marriage contract is actually a really good idea for people who either have a goal with their relationship and they say, okay, like, we're going to get together, we're going to commit to this amount of time. But I think committing forever is like a little ridiculous. I mean, yeah, we're looking at, 50% chance that your marriage might work, might not work. I mean, we have a lower percent that we're going to get in a car accident, but yet we're paying every month for car insurance.
Right.
But yet we don't even bother to try to insure the biggest decision of our lives.
Let me stop you right there. That's a very interesting analogy when you talked about the car insurance. Mm-hmm. So we pay car insurance. We pay it every month, and neither you or I have been in an accident in the car that we have.
Yeah, I haven't been in an accident in 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while, but we still continue to pay that car insurance.
Yes, we do. And so the thing that I like about the concept of the contract marriage or contract, what did you call it?
The expiring coupling contract.
Okay. The ECC.
The ECC.
The one thing that I like about that is that if you look, people could say, how is this different from a prenup? Well, a prenup, one, doesn't expire, so you don't have to renew it. So, and then also, like, if you have a prenup or a post-nuptial agreement, in order to make changes to that agreement, you basically destroy the integrity of the agreement by making changes as they come up.
Right.
So, while we can talk about stuff, like traditional contract or agreements talk about stuff. Your stuff, my stuff, the stuff we buy together, 50-50, the house, whatever, the cars we split, all that stuff. As far as, property, children. But none of them addresses like a code of conduct.
Right.
And an agreement of acceptable behavior in a relationship. The consequences of certain actions. So, hey, okay, if you get caught cheating, this is what's going to happen.
Yes.
If if I fall off and I get hurt at work and you have to work, this happens. I mean, you can have the what ifs in there.
Of course.
The ones that concern you the most. Of course, there's not going to be like every single what if, but if you go down a checklist, I'm sure we could come up with something,
Yeah, and we're gonna get everybody's opinions in this here in a second. What were you gonna say?
Okay. Another thing is that if you want a woman to be a stay-at-home wife, then she has to agree to put herself in that vulnerable situation to where she is relying on you 100% for everything. A lot of women these days, they don't trust men. They don't want to be put in a vulnerable situation. They want to be free to up and go whenever they want. So I think what you said about kind of having like a clause, we're saying, hey, if this doesn't work out and you're living off my dime, I will guarantee to support you 3 months, 6 months, whatever after this, so that you can have time to get a job, get on with your life. So it's not like we're trying to leave people high and dry, but we're trying to protect both parties.
Yes.
And right now, the current marriage contracts, and I mean, getting married is super easy. All you got to do is say yes and sign a paper.
I do. Yep.
Getting divorced could take a year or more. Like, it is awful.
Yep.
And it's funny because the things that you have to go through line by line in a divorce agreement are things that you should have gone through line by line before you even got married.
Right.
The same thing about if you're going to have kids, how are we going to raise them?
Yeah.
How do we discipline them? What religion are they going to grow up?
Wow. Yeah.
What types of schools do we want to go to? What happened? Do we have the same core values? Now, the one thing I like about contract marriage in this concept is that people change.
Yes, they do.
Situations change, circumstances change. And I don't mean people change like you can change people, you can't change people, but people will evolve and change over time. And this gives couples a chance to reassess, are we still compatible?
Right.
And that could lead to, a lot of these nasty divorces, a lot of these broken homes come from couples who just can't agree when to quit.
Right.
So if you are able to maintain a family bond, even though it's not a traditional marriage, but there's peace in the house and the kids know stability, then I think that it's a win-win. Let me see. Yeah. So anyway, I just like the idea that it sets rules and expectations for what you can expect. When things change, you sit down and say, oh, you know what? It's time to re-up. Okay, so 3 months before the end of our contract, we sit down and we say, what's working, what's not working.
Okay.
What would you like to change? What are your concerns?
There you go.
Express those things. How are we doing money-wise? What are our goals for the next 1, 2, 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
And things of that nature. And that will actually create healthy conversations that create healthy relationships. A lot of people just kind of bulldoze themselves through life thinking that keep their head down, everything's going to stay the same forever. And then they realize that the world has completely changed and they're operating on old software.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I like this concept. I think it has a lot of potential. And I like how the different values that people have, especially as couples, it could be adjusted to fit those, not just the values of the state.
Okay, very good. Now, on your screen now, so we're looking at the grounds for early division. And there can be, I mean, like I said before, I mean, we've talked about this before, years and years ago. We just kind of, off the top of our head, if we had like a month or month and a half to really work on this thing, I'm sure we could hammer out some of the holes. But as of right now, the only 4 that I could think of, and again, we want to hear from you guys in the chat. And we'll read your super chats and chats here shortly. So the first grounds for early division, infidelity, meaning if one or both partner engages in sexual activity with persons other than their spouse. Agree or disagree?
Agree, but it's kind of too simple.
Why do you say that?
Infidelity is just sexual activity, or is it openly flirting and disrespecting your spouse? Is it posting half-naked pictures online, shopping for attention?
Okay, all right.
How do you classify what is cheating and what is not?
Okay.
Because I know like people like you would infidelity is just like that's just the end of the road.
That's right.
But it gets real bumpy before you get to that end of that road.
Yes, it does. And you know how I am, Dev. I I prohibit all behaviors that are up to 30 degrees from cheating, right?
Yes.
So, like, remember Valentine's Day, I found out that you had a Reddit account. And I didn't, and, I went through and I checked it and everything. But again, a Reddit account means that you can communicate with people, and if you can communicate with people, you can set things up. If you can set things up, you can cheat. And so a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, she just had a Reddit account." No. This is the way I run my household. It doesn't matter if it's 30 degrees from cheating or 1 degree from cheating.
Either way, you're sleeping with your front door wide open.
There you go. That's exactly right.
So yeah, so I could see grounds for early division being infidelity, repeated disrespect. It could even be something like there's financial infidelity.
Not only that. Now, what constitutes as disrespect? Because you know how people are these days. He yelled at me. He disrespected me. He told me that I can't do this, or he told me that he would leave if I do that. He disrespected me. So now we have to.
Well, that forces the man to set his ground rules and expectations.
Put it in the contract
before the relationship begins.
Okay.
And that's a good opportunity for men to finally say, this is what I'm okay with, and this is what I'm not okay with.
Right.
And if you don't like it, we don't have to do this.
That's right. That's exactly right.
But infidelity, I don't know if you consider like emotional cheating or, work husbands or chatting, with men and stuff like that, flirting and things like that.
I think that could be done on a case-by-case basis. But you and I both know there are so many people who have affairs with people they work with, and the reason why is because you're around these people every day. It's like your second family, and it never starts off that way. You're just around them all the time. One thing leads to another. You guys have something in common. You guys go out for drinks with the team. One thing leads to another. You're back at the office, doing the horizontal mamba.
Intimacy by association.
There you go. Yeah, right, exactly. And so I think you're right. I think that it's a very good idea to make sure that if we were to do this experiment, you would have to stipulate, okay, what do I think infidelity is? If the man thinks that something is infidelity, but the woman doesn't think it's infidelity, guess what? Then I guess you're tearing up the contract. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and if you can't agree, then you're probably not going to work out.
There you go. There you go. If you are having arguments about what constitutes as cheating and what doesn't, that right there tells you all you need to know about the couple. And usually it's almost always the woman who has a problem with the definition of cheating. Myron says all the time on Fresh and Fit, if you're on social media, you're cheating. And the girls lose their minds because they can't live without Instagram. Mm-hmm. And so what this does is this effectively eliminates the people who really want to be in a traditional relationship and those who don't.
Right. I agree.
The second grounds for early division is alienation of affection. This is one or both parties intentionally refusing sexual activity. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay. I mean, this one makes sense that this is actually a reason for divorce. This is like legit. Mm-hmm. However, let's just say that one of the partners has a specific kink or something that they want the other partner to do. And as time goes on, the other partner's like, I don't really like to do that. I don't want to do it anymore. Is it one sexual act or is it just sexual activity in general?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Like, for example, if I stop giving you head, are we still doing this?
Hold up. No, we are definitely not doing that. We're definitely not doing that. But yeah, again, I think it would be on a case-by-case basis. Refusing of sexual activity, fellatio or, backdoor fun. And just like you said, different people have different kinks. This would all have to be talked about up front. Hey, I need X, Y, and Z, or we're not signing the contract. If there's any contention on the contract, you can always negotiate.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're going to you are required to do what you signed up to do. Otherwise, the other partner can break the contract.
And you're only living with us for a year,
1 year,
2 years, 3 years, whatever you decide to do. And if you can't handle doing or something you don't necessarily like for the person that you love for a year, then what are you doing in a relationship to begin with?
There you go.
I mean, half the stuff you do in a relationship you don't want to do.
That's right. That's why it's called a relationship. The third reason for grounds for early termination is, like you said earlier, income loss. One or both parties loses their main source of income. Now, parties can choose to remain together if they choose to, and that sort of leads to the 2-year contract. What do you think about the income loss here? Because a lot of guys a lot of guys say, well, as soon as I lose my job, she's going to leave. No, that's not necessarily the case. If she really loves and cares about you, she will give you time to lick your wounds and dust yourself off.
If she loves and cares about you, she's helping you work on your resume. She's helping you find another job.
But not for too long. Not for too long, though.
No, but the second the man starts to wallow and cry,
yes.
and be like, I can't believe it.
Yep.
You know, you don't respect me because I don't earn a living. You know, like that's when the woman loses attraction, is like, I'm out. Like, this is not the person. Like, I need someone who's resilient. And income loss is going to come like, hey, if you invested all your money in crypto, you're
probably not doing too good right now.
Probably hiding right now, you know, and you're experiencing income loss.
Yep.
But give it 3 months, it could bounce back.
Right.
So you have to, I think, learn to, you know, there's a certain ride or die element to this one.
Yeah.
That, okay, if you're out of work for 6 months or more, you know.
Oh wow,
that's
half the contract already,
yeah,
right?
I mean, well, yeah, but if one or both parties, I mean, especially if he's providing for both of you.
Yeah.
And you know, to make ends meet, she's got to go to work. He's working part-time. You do what it takes to survive.
Yep, that's right. But again, there is a clock. There is a clock. Listen, your woman will love you so long as you show the resilience that attracted her to you in the first place. Like I said, the majority of women will give you 3 to 5 days just to kind of wallow, maybe have a few drinks, tie a few off, blow off some steam. But the longer it takes you to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, the quicker she's going to lose attraction for you.
Yeah, I think that, like, for me personally, I don't think this one would be grounds for early division.
You don't think so?
No, just considering the length of the contract.
Okay. All right. Okay. Very
mean,
good. Maybe in the longer contracts, maybe the 2 to 3 year contracts.
It could be, instead of just income loss, it could be like employment loss.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like,
all right.
because you know, money comes and goes.
Sure.
I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
The fourth grounds for early division is legitimate spousal Isuba, spelled backwards. You guys can see the asterisk there. The Isuba must be verified and adjudicated in a court of law. What this means, ladies and gentlemen, is you can't just say, he put hands on me and I want a divorce. No fault divorce, irreconcilable differences. No. If you are going through legitimate, man or woman, if you are going through legitimate spousal Isuba, and it's documented and it's been adjudicated, the other person is guilty of Isuba, should you decide to divide early, that gives you grounds to. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that this one is even necessary, to be honest. But I think
the only reason why it's necessary is because there are so many women who claim Isuba, like Miss Amber Heard.
Right, exactly. So I think outlining what you will and won't tolerate, again.
Yep.
You know, because different people describe Isuba as different things.
Yep.
Whether it's verbal, emotional, physical, whatever. So yeah, this, you know, I don't know. I just, you know, if you're worried about this and you're marrying that person, you probably need to think twice.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. I think it's just one of those clauses that should absolutely be in a marriage contract.
I have a quote from Highland that I wanted to read.
All right, what you got?
Highland.
And who is Highland?
Robert Highland is that author that I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
So, marriage is a psychological condition, not a civil contract and a license. Once a marriage is dead, it is dead, and it begins to stink faster than a dead fish.
Oh, wow. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah,
as you and I have both been
there's
through.
a point of no return.
Yes.
And that's why it's good to have a contract marriage. Because like, okay, look, all right, we've only got 6 weeks left. I can handle it.
Right.
You know?
I'll go live in a hotel, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Let's read our super chats here. Slambright with the $5 super chat says, the problem with legal contracts is that women will claim they were forced to sign under duress. That's how Dre got divorced. Epard. Interesting that he says that. That could be one of the stipulations, is to videotape both parties, verifying, yes, my name is Edwin Alexander Hopkins Jr. I am not signing this under duress. I understand, and all that's documented. Then you sign the contract. That way a woman can't go back and be like, well, I was under duress. No, not according to the video, you weren't.
Yeah, and it just makes me wonder how many guys sign their marriage certificates under duress. Like after the wedding, when they're like, God. Oh no, what did I do? Sign it!
Oh no, I ain't signing. I'll be like, bitch, I ain't signing shit. I gave you the wedding. I ain't gonna give you no signature. You know what I'm saying? Fuck all that noise. JBlaze11 with the $2 super chat says, Don, will there be a bachelor tax in 20 years? Fam, there already is. Men like myself who are single and reproductively responsible. In other words, I'm a single. I'm contractually, statistically single. I have no children, and I'm a high earner. I get the crap taxed out of me, man.
Well, I mean, I do as well, so...
Well, that's... Right, exactly.
I mean, it's a bachelorette tax.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
The same whether you're male or female.
What was that?
Oh, it was your gerbil.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess that's Philip making...
He's trying his great escape. Yeah,
he's trying to get up out of here. Let's see here. Lorenzo Rock says, I want cosplay in... the contract. Oh boy. All right. Hey man, everybody has their sexual kinks, man. Johnny Green says, Donovan, would you say this is a dowry with benefits? What do you think? I don't think it is. I think that the dowry is to ensure that the woman doesn't go running around on the man. See, the way dowries work, I don't know if you realize this, but the way dowries work is that back in the day, the father used to put land or some sort of asset in kind of a trust as an insurance against the girl should she decide to go feral. So if he marries her and she runs off and she's sleeping around and having other people's kids, then guess what? Then the husband is now awarded the dowry. And dude, the father does not want to have to pay the dowry. That's why the father makes damn sure he's like, okay.
Oh, it's like collateral?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
That's not what I thought it was.
Oh, no.
I always thought a dowry was, okay, so when you have a son, your son can work and provide for a wife. Right? When you have a daughter, the daughter doesn't bring much to the table.
Sure.
So I thought that the dowry was there as a gift to say, hey, you can have her, but you can also have these 8 goats. Because we know that she's not going to be working to feed you. You know, it was more the traditional household type of thing where here's a chest full of, our family jewels, to something to fall back on in case the man, in case they need some extra help. It's almost like insurance rather than collateral. Yeah,
that is what a dowry is. So before he gives his daughter away to the would-be husband, dad very rarely has to sit down and have conversations like this because mom has done her job training her daughter how to be a wife.
Well, the parents also negotiate.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, look, I mean, like if the girl's a virgin, the guy's like, okay, well, I don't know. I really only need 2 acres of land in collateral. Okay. If there are rumors that she may or may not have gotten around, or if she may have had a noit roba.
Both ways.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And this is why we talk about female value all the time. The higher the value the female back in the day, the lower the dowry had to be. It's like a high risk driver. If I'm a 21-year-old kid and I've got 18 speeding I've had my license. I would have to have my license suspended. But if I'm a 21-year-old kid, I've had 4 speeding tickets. I'm driving a red Corvette. My insurance is gonna be more than my car payment. Mm-hmm. But if I'm a 42-year-old woman who hasn't had a traffic incident you're 45. And you haven't had a traffic incident since what, 16, 17? Yeah, right.
30 years.
Well, the point is that you pay a lower insurance because you're less of a risk.
Right.
Well, it works the same with the dowry. If the girl is verified a virgin, mom signs off on her. Dad is like, okay, they have the doctor check her out. She's never been with boys. All right, cool. Just give me maybe 1.5, 2 acres. But if there are rumors like, she kind of used to party, and Fred over there said that she might have messed around with some people and this and that and the third, or if there was a rumor that she might have had a noit roba to keep her value up. Listen, I don't know, man. Like, I can't verify anything, but I'm going to need 5 acres of dowry just in case the daughter goes awry. That's how that works.
All right. So the average marriage in the United States lasts a little over 8 years.
Okay.
And 48%, I would just say 50% of all marriages will end in divorce. And I was looking at the stats, like whether they marry before the age of 22 to like 30, it doesn't matter. Like there's the instances of divorce are pretty equal spread out through the age groups. And I was surprised because I would thought that the younger that you got married, the less chance you would have for divorce.
Oh, really? That's what I thought.
No, it's actually a lot higher.
Okay.
It's like 40 to 60% if they're married between the ages of 20 and 25. And if they are married after the age of 25, the divorce rate goes down to 25%.
Wow. Now that I didn't know.
Yeah.
How about that?
So that's just something for guys to think about, especially when, especially young guys, like your girl wants to get married. It's great. You want to marry young, but at the same time, you don't want to marry too young, and you don't want to wait too long either.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
because you end up like what's her name? What's that Olympic sprinter? Lolo Jones. She's like almost 40 years old and she's still a virgin. Like men don't want to take the virginity of it.
She's a runner, so she doesn't have a hymen.
That doesn't matter. She's never. I mean, she allegedly has never had sex before. She's just being way too picky.
Okay.
That's how that works.
It's not that serious. So one more thing that I did discover in my research on this was if you have a friend that got divorced, your marriage is 75% more likely to end in divorce.
Really?
People are 75% more likely to end their marriage if a friend is divorced. So I know how you always talk about how her single friends are bad, but her divorced friends are worse.
Oh my God, yes. Oh, now see, this is where the contract comes into play. Mm-hmm. You can never tell within the construct of this thought experiment. You can never tell a woman what she can or cannot do. You can't tell her, hey, I don't want you friends with Sally over there who's had 2 husbands. Her best friend is a woman who's been divorced 2-3 times, and another one's cheating on her husband. So. In your opinion, how would I know how I would go about that, but I'd be interested to hear what you would do, what your suggestion would be in terms of influences during the contract.
Well, wait, I don't understand exactly what you're asking.
So what I'm saying is that, for example, it's common. You and I, we have an understanding. Mm-hmm. You are not, and again, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to do anything. But you stay away from women who are in either bad relationships, women who are divorced, or women who are perpetually single. Single women keep women single.
Yes.
Single women and divorced women or women that are cheating on their husbands are terrible for happily married women.
It is true. I think that women, especially when they're going through a divorce, is a very dangerous time to have that person in your life, because this person is all consumed with what he did, what she did, what they have to split, who said what, blah, blah, blah. It's a mess. It's probably it's the worst time in somebody's life, but it's also the worst influence you could have in your life. And I mean, I know this because like I didn't talk to a lot of my friends for the whole year.
Really? Why is that?
It's just I didn't want to spread the misery.
Oh, okay. Right.
Well, that's I'm like self-conscious enough to know that this sucks and I should just keep it to myself.
But contract-wise, as far as this marriage contract, this coupling contract is concerned, mm-hmm. how would you suggest one go about? It's hard to say. I don't want to say we want to regulate things, but what would you write into the contract that would discourage a woman from becoming friends with women who would threaten their relationship?
Well, I mean, that's the behaviors and expectations that we discussed very early on in this conversation. Yep. You can't predict the future, but you can work together and you can say, okay, so and so Jane is going through a separation. They're going to be divorced. I know you play cards with her every Thursday night. Uh-huh. How about you find something else to do on Thursday nights until and you kind of like lean people in the direction you want them to go. Or say, okay, we're joining a bowling league on Thursday night. Say goodbye to your friend Jane.
There you go.
And your her divorcee friends.
And if she says, well, I'm going to be friends with Jane, no problem. Cool. The contract is only 1 year. Yeah. In 4 or 5 months, we'll be out of here. So please, by all means, go and have fun with Dick and Jane and whatever the hell else you're doing. Come the expiration date, I'm not re-signing. And again, what the expiration date does is this motivates both the man and the woman to do whatever they have to incentivize the other person to re-sign the contract at the after the expiration date. So it's almost like this is almost like our relationship. We don't have any sort of contract between us, but we both know that if one or both of us slips, one or both of us is out the door. That's just the way that it's got to be.
I'm sticking with you forever.
Even if I'm 500 pounds?
I'm never leaving.
We'll
Can't
see.
Get rid of me.
We'll see what happens when I'm on my 600 pound.
You will
life.
never do that.
I don't know. I like to eat.
That won't happen.
I appreciate that.
Oh, and grounds for early division, I think we should add one.
Oh, okay.
Mutual disinterest. Like,
Oh, mutual disinterest. Okay.
You mutually just say, you know what, this isn't working.
This isn't working.
We're
And
done.
there doesn't have to be a reason. There's just, listen, man, like, we tried it for a year.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, like, okay, so-and-so, never drank before, and now they're drinking a liter of vodka every day.
Yeah. Like, and it would have to be an extreme. It would have to be an extreme circumstance, but it could be a certain. And honestly, grounds for early division can be for whatever the other person wants.
Yeah.
I mean, the person can leave when, and you can't just say, all right, I'm out of here. You've got to give a reason, but it's got to be really, really bad before. And worst case scenario, okay, you stick with the person for the next couple of months, and then you go along your merry way.
See, the whole purpose of marriage was to make people stick together through the hard times.
Yes, right.
But obviously that doesn't work anymore.
No.
For 50% divorce rates now.
No.
And even one of the other things I read is that the divorce rate for people over 55 is extremely high.
Yeah, isn't that gray divorce or something like that?
Yeah. And they were like, oh, well, the divorce rate for younger people is lower. That's because very fewer younger people are getting married to begin with.
Right. Yeah. 6 out of 1,000.
That's
So
it?
why are older? Yeah, 6 in every 1,000 people in the United States is married. That's the lowest it's ever been in history.
Wow.
So why is it that older people get divorced at a higher rate than younger people?
That I don't know. I think a lot of it might have to do with empty nest syndrome. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I put up with this person for 18 years.
Yep.
We had kids together. The
Yep.
kids are grown. I'm out.
Okay, very good.
For them, the bearing of the children and creating the family, that was the contract.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
at that point, it's time to go.
You know what? I'm good with gray divorce. Like, honestly, because at that point, your children, I assume, are old enough to understand okay, mom and dad don't love each other anymore, but they still love us. It's not going to change. Like, if they're out of the house by then, oh crap, mom and dad broke up, whatever the case may be. That has a much less dire effect on them as adults than it is with kids, because I didn't realize how tough I took my parents splitting up. I was 13 years old, dude. My parents split up twice. The first time they split up, I was 8. The second time they split up, I was 13. I didn't think it affected me, but it did.
Yeah, it always does.
Yeah, it always does. Angry Bosch, member for 7 months, says, Donovan Sharpe, member for life. You're the man. I appreciate that very, very much. Lorenzo Rock says, make sure there's something in that contract about crapping in the bed.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he's talking about Amber Turd.
So that reminds me of another quote that I saved.
Yeah,
And it's a
do
real
it.
short one. It says, this is from Robert Highland as well.
Okay,
It says,
good.
marriage is a young man's disaster and an old man's comfort.
Oh, my God.
Hey,
man.
At some point you get so old that just putting up with their crap is easier than putting up with other people's crap.
Dude,
least you know what
literally
you're
and
getting.
figuratively. Literally and figuratively.
on the bed.
Let's see. I think there was another. Cigar Man 85 says also a video recording of the signing with lawyer. Yes, that's what we talked
Yeah.
about a little bit earlier, so that they can't say, "Oh, I signed under duress" and blah 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 blah. What do you think about that? Anything to add to that? Okay,
No.
good stuff. Kyle 2020 with the $5 super chat says, in cases of legitimate Isuba, the male body has ways of shutting that whole thing down. I'm not really sure about that. What is he talking about? Okay.
I'm not venturing a guess.
Oh, okay, very good. Well, I appreciate the super chat. Let's see here. 5 in the black. Is Venus a virgin? I don't know what that means. Wow, a woman too picky to have sex. Okay, so now it's a Disney princess syndrome. We're gonna get to the breakdown here very quickly. You had some other notes?
No, that's all.
Okay, that was
I
all
got
your.
through it all,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, very good. Okay, excellent. Go ahead.
Oh, wait, one last
Go
one.
on.
Sorry.
Go on. We have time. We're good. What the hell is going on with Chester?
I don't know. You want me to go look?
Lock his ass up, man. Go on. All right, I'll hold it down while Devin goes and tends to our dog, who all of a sudden just started barking out of nowhere. Chester does have anxiety issues as of late. Augustus Balmustus with the $8 super chat says, she's an 8. All right, she ate everything.